This will be a pretty quick tutorial just showing you how to use the template file that I gave you to create your Bauble. So I'm going to just be editing this sketch right here. So if I click on this sketch, any part of it, and then right click, you have to be kind of hovering over one of the lines. I'll click on Edit Sketch. And it turns it so that I'm facing directly over my sketch and gives me a bunch of sketching tools. Now, these are guidelines that I've created for you, and you want to sketch within these guidelines. And I want to start and stop my sketch not closer in than the top and bottom of this kind of slightly diagonal line, and that will make sense more when I get to the end of the tutorial. But I'm going to start by kind of marking this edge out with a straight line. So I'm going to go to my line tool and just kind of trace along here, and this is going to create kind of an outline of just that section of the box, and I'm just going to hit enter. That kind of finalizes that. Now I kind of have this whole area to play with to create my shape. I'm going to start with the spline tool, which is a curved line tool, and I'm going to start at the bottom here. So right where I finished drawing that line. It's a little bit hard to see the line because there's this dotted line over it, but it's there. So I'm going to click here, and it looks like a straight line right now. And notice how it snaps to this grid, and the more I zoom in, the more kind of grid lines appear, and it'll snap to those, which can be really useful. So right now it's a straight line, but if I click once and then move it again, now I can see it kind of becomes curved. So I'm just going to kind of play around with this. I can cross this line. I don't want to get too close to this edge because if it's really close to the edge, it's going to make a very thin part. Again, that'll make more sense when I actually rotate this. But let's do something like that. I'm going to finish this part of my sketch by clicking on that green checkbox. And then I'm going to do just some straight lines. So I'm going to come in here, start where I left off, and this tool will just make straight lines. And again, I don't want to get too close to that point there. And I'll just finish it off by, maybe I'll do kind of a subtle curve in here. So I'll go back to my spline tool, and I'll just try to finish that off with a nice curve. Okay, so then I'll finish my sketch. Now, actually looks like it didn't draw that one line. Let's zoom out and zoom back in here. Yeah, somehow it missed that one line. So let's try just drawing that again. So I'm going to right click on here, edit sketch, zoom back in. Let's go to my line tool, click at the top here, and click down to the bottom. And that completed it. One thing you notice, this highlighted in yellow, and that shows me that I have a closed sketch. Okay, so now I'll click Finish Sketch. Now holding Shift, I can orbit. If I hold Shift and click on my my scroll button on my mouse. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this shape that I just drew. I'm going to go to Create, or up here to Revolve. Click Revolve. Okay, my axis, I already selected my profile. That was this here. Now I'm going to select my axis, and that's just going to be this vertical line right here. Okay, and it automatically is rotating that 360 degrees. I could change that to be 180, but for the purposes of this project, I actually want it to be 360 degrees. And then I can click OK. So that's really all there is to making that Bauble, but the reason why I'm leaving this space at the bottom and the top that I showed you is I have a couple other objects in here, one of which is this threaded sort of bolt, and then a cap here. These are going to be parts that help you attach this to another project. So this will be a metal piece that we're going to cast. We're going to 3D print it in wax and then cast that object in metal. Okay, so so that's your tutorial. One of the cool things about Fusion is that there's this timeline down here, and everything is sort of related to previous parts. What that means is if I go back to that sketch that I drew, and let's just show that sketch. So it hides it for me after I've revolved it. So let's just, okay, go back in here and find the sketch. I could actually take a part of this sketch, stretch it out, and then it will apply everything that happened after that point. So it went ahead and it applied the revolve here. So any of these points I could change. I could also go back in by right-clicking on here, doing Edit Sketch, and then I could really do a lot more detail work in here. Let's say I wanted some part of this that was really round. I could create a round part like this. I could then use the Trim tool to take away this part here. Let's see what that looks like now. Okay, so that kind of created this area here. So you can do a lot of cool things with that, with editing those sketches, sketch points. That one might not work because it turned it into kind of an overlap. There we go. You don't really want a space that's interior like this. If you end up getting, this just won't print well because it needs to fill that space in with supports, and then it'll be nearly impossible to get those out. So you actually want to avoid something like that. Let's go back to Edit Sketch. And let's see what I can do here. If I wanted this circle to be kind of low, I could just come back in here with a line tool, draw across here, and then go ahead and just trim away these other parts. Finish sketch. Okay, and then that should work better. Okay, so play around with your sketches until you make something that you like.